Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Stuff Like June Machine. I am Andy Hot Body Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
And it's part 2 of the chart of the 7th of June, 1970. A chart which existed before either of us existed, which makes it difficult, tricky, I don't know. But we had a go at reading it out last week and we got through that, and then we haven't really looked at any of the songs. There was one song here that stood out when we were doing the chart rundown.
It caught our eye,
because of
didn't
its
it?
title.
It tickled our curiosity.
Tickled our fancy, would you say? Just because of its title. And it's called Vehicle. And it's by Ides of March. And I had no recollection of it at all, never heard of it before. But it's calling the song Vehicle. It's great. Great name for a song. And we've both just listened to it since then. And I urge you to seek it out. It's on YouTube. I'm sure it's on Spotify and all the other places. It's fucking great, isn't it, Sam?
Well, you listened to it off the back of liking the title, and literally just moments before we came on air, you said, have a quick listen. Just a few moments of it. Just the beginning to see what you think before we start. So I waited for the 5-second free trial of the advert on YouTube to end. Thought, I don't know, it's rare that I would get into a song at this short notice, this quickly. I mean, my mind's not in the right place. Usually I like to sit and like prepare myself.
Yeah, you need to get yourself into the lotus position.
Into
I think
the
you receive
position.
new music
That's what
don't
I prefer, yeah.
Yeah.
And
wearing a smock of some kind.
Yeah, or child pose. That's another one I like, because I like to adopt child pose and sort of take myself right back almost to the cradle mentally.
Yeah.
And
the cusp of the womb.
Yeah. And I imagine myself in my mother's womb, and that's
the cusp
the best
of the womb. That's a great title for a song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, or a band.
Alex D, if you're listening, I've got a song called The Cusp of the Womb.
The Cusp of the Womb. Slightly kind of, sort of could be, I'm trying to think what genre. I mean, in a way, it's slightly Led Zeppelin, if I'm honest.
It's 1970.
Yeah,
it's 1970, yeah. Lyrics coming.
The Cusp
soon.
of the Womb. It's sort of slightly Stonehenge kind of, Spinal Tap vibes. But... yeah, it's very... I can't think of many times in my life where I've heard a song that's had such an immediate sort of impact on me. It's just an immediate banger. I suppose the best way of describing it, and as I say, I've only heard less than 1 minute of it. It starts off and it sounds a lot like the theme tune to a really good American 70s cop show.
Yeah.
It's got kind of Streets of San Francisco vibes a little bit.
It's got a pile driving horn section.
Yeah. And
right
then,
from the off.
As you rightly said, I think it's in the comments, it's very Tarantino soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
It's just immediate. It's the song that you want to be playing when you walk in to a party or social event, perhaps Boxing Day at your mum's.
Great time of the year.
I mean,
bring that up.
It's a great ring walk song, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Or do they still play in 2020 cricket? Do you still get a song when you walk out to bat? I don't know. But if you do, that'd be a good one.
I mean, I might start and adopt a walk-on song for recording these podcasts. Obviously, you'll be none the wiser. It'll be before we kind of connect.
Oh, yeah. And then
WhatsApp,
you could play something really dramatic and sexy like that. And then when I say, and I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, it could just stop dead and you could just play like the sort of... what do you call it? The sort of tumbleweed sort of music under my entrance. That'd be a good power play.
So should we do it so that we can hear each other's walk-on music, or before we actually connect?
Oh, I think we should do it on the show.
Connected.
Yeah.
Do you remember Mike Tyson used some music as a walk-on music by the noted alternative, obscure industrial group called Coil.
No.
And it's just kind of like, it just sounds like fucking, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like metallic, pared back, sort of just intimidating noise.
Intimidating noise. That's
in the
good.
1980s.
Like the sound of a factory or something.
Yeah, kind of. Just the sound of just really unsettling.
Yeah.
Maybe the sound of the world collapsing in on itself.
It's a bit like it's like Mike Tyson is in the sort of Roy Keane kind of like music in itself is frivolous and childish. So I will simply have noise.
Yeah.
Unsettling noises.
Completely fucking shit your opponent right up. But yeah. So yeah, walk-on music podcast is a new thing. It's certainly got to be better than just talking to your fucking comedy pals about what your favourite keyring is. But Ides of March, I'm looking at their Wikipedia page. They had a major US and minor UK hit with the song Vehicle in 1970. That seems to have been it. Went on hiatus in 73. They returned with their original lineup in 1990 and have been active since then.
Active?
It seems
well, if they're active, we're interested.
Active.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were we going to hire a band for? We were going to hire
My
a band
book
for
launch. My book launch.
For your book launch, that was it.
Imagine if we got Ides of March.
Ides of March
if they're in America, it's not ideal because I'd have to pay their fee plus their travel. That's the difficulty.
Yeah.
Imagine if I just got Lee John to come and just do Body Talk. One song.
Lee Johnson?
Lee John.
Oh, Lee John.
Lee John to come
Lee
on.
Lee Johnson to do Body Talk.
Lee Johnson, did he used to be the manager of Sunderland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's now at Hibs.
In an awful booking error, I've accidentally booked the former manager of Sunderland to come and perform the 1980s rare groove classic Body Talk.
And of course, it would appeal to Lee Johnson's huge ego.
Is Lee Johnson a Cockney or is he a northern chap?
Yeah. He's a Londoner of some kind. Yeah.
Bloody, mind you, so is Lee John. So.
Yeah, well, try and get Lee Johns. That will be better. Lee Johnson's up at Hibs now, so again, travel would be an issue.
I am going to see Lee John for the 40th anniversary of that album at Shepherd's Bush Empire in, I think, March. Yeah.
Oh, magical.
Yeah, I think on the 100th year of the BBC, I shared that performance of Body Talk, which I've written about before on the Turbo and stuff, and I just said, here is this, to my mind, is the greatest moment in the history of the BBC, was Imagination's debut on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And
left field, but I defy anyone to come up with anything better.
Yeah, and it was quite nice because he tweeted me back and then sent me a link to their 40th anniversary tour. And of course, you know me, I'm a sucker for anyone advertising almost anything to me, and so I immediately bought tickets, but I am looking forward to that.
That'd be great. I've just seen on Instagram this morning a promo for Haircut 100, also doing a 40th
Albert
anniversary.
Hall, I think they're playing Albert Hall in London. Yeah I interviewed him on the radio a few years ago, Nick Hayward. Obviously lovely bloke, but also so young looking. I mean, he's got to be at least 10 years older than me, at least, because I was a little boy when he was in the charts, right? Fucking hell, I've got the photo of us together, and in the photo he looks a good 10 years younger than me. He just looks like he did back then, or if anything better, because he's now quite muscular. I think he's been working out too.
He did. He started to work out. I think he's probably moisturised quite a bit as well.
Oh, it's just lovely guy, obviously talented, but also such adorable boyish looks. It's like I've got nothing to fault in Nick Hayward, mate, and for that reason I think I will be going to see him at the Albert Hall.
Well, get me a ticket as well, I'll come. That sounds great.
My dad sometimes he pulls out Haircut 100 reference on the reg, because my brother Theo, who's a big kind of music fan, and he taught me a lot about music growing up, Theo, as did my dad. And, I respect both of their musical tastes. However, when Theo expresses any opinion on music ever, right? My dad will cut him down. Like, Theo could just say in passing, "Oh, it's a nice song. I quite like that." My dad will go, "Ha! This is the man who once claimed that Haircut 100 were the greatest band in the world." something which, first of all, Theo strenuously denies ever having said. But second of all, even if he did say it, we're going back to the early 80s when he was an adolescent, right? And that's the sort of thing you say when you're an adolescent about whoever the band of the moment
10 or
is.
something.
Yeah, exactly. He would have been like maybe, I don't know, he probably would have been like maybe 15 or something. And they were the big sort of cool band when they first came out. And he might have been past saying, they've got to be the best band ever. My dad has clung on to that one moment, that one
incredible
remark by him. And that, according to him, removes any credibility from any opinion on music my brother has ever had and will ever have.
Fucking superb.
It's great, isn't it?
Oh, man. Oh, that's so good. Can we plug Theo's Life Goals
with my dad
episode?
Have you listened to it?
I haven't got around to listening to it yet, but it's got to be great, hasn't it?
It is brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant for me on a number of levels. I actually found it quite, obviously it's nice because I've encouraged all of my nephews and nieces. Like, he's got a huge number of grandchildren. And I'm like, everyone should listen to this because in many ways it's the story of my dad's life,
Yeah, right.
And it has been a colourful life. As he said, there's not many people who have, been in the Socialist Workers' Party and appeared in Carry On Up the Khyber. Plus, toured with the Rolling Stones. And my dad's done all three. And so he's got all his bangers.
I would say there's probably only your dad and Peter Butterworth. He's done that.
Right, so it's got all of those. But he doesn't even have time
I'd have to verify Butterworth, though.
He doesn't even have time for some of the bangers that I've told on this podcast, such as losing Leslie Judd. I mean, for me, if I was doing life goals, and I have done life goals as a view, but if either of us had ever had an incident where we'd lost Leslie Judd on a horse, or indeed defended ourselves in court over the alleged theft of a ladder, that would be right up top when you look reflected back on what are the key moments, the most memorable moments of my life. That would be top for most of us.
Well,
for him, that's just like on the cutting room floor, mate.
Maybe you need to interview him as Human of Honour. A 3 or 4 parter for this.
I didn't really envy Theo interviewing him because he power plays Theo continuously all the way through, right?
Oh,
yeah, but the thing is, Theo is so much better at dealing with it than I am, right? Because
you threw your dinner at him.
Yeah, every power play that comes, Theo's just like, he knows it's coming, he can see it 3 moves ahead, and he just doesn't let it bother him and he moves on. Whereas
That's really good.
I would have snapped like halfway through episode 1.
Fair enough.
There's great bits where he's trying to sort of impress my dad, which is a classic thing. I try to impress my dad, but it's always a mistake.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, there's this really good band that I think you'll like," and I think you'll really like them, Dad. In fact, you know what? I'll send you a link. I'll send you a playlist link. And my dad just goes like this. And I'm listening to this while I'm running, and I'm like sort of like cringing. But the thing is, it doesn't really bother Theo. I think he's just had it his whole life, and it's just like, yeah, that's what he does. He power plays. But he chose. To be fair to my dad, he chooses some banging tunes and some really good goals, and his stories are great. So I really enjoyed it a great deal.
I'll give it a listen.
Yeah,
I'll definitely give it a listen. Yeah, good stuff. What is it, a 4-parter?
No, it's a 2-parter. It's if you don't know the podcast already, it's my brother's podcast, Life Goals with Theo Delaney, in which he asks people to pick their 8 most memorable goals of their lives, and they get to choose a song to go with each one. So it's basically Desert Island Disc, but with football.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, that's hard to imagine that the pilot episode could ever be bettered, in which I was the guest. But
you were the pilot
that's an
episode,
opinion.
and that's what that was when they realised this has got legs.
That's what got it commissioned by
But
the podcast elders.
I said, listen, don't judge it, because if you've got Dawson on it, you've set the bar unrealistically high.
Well, yeah.
I was something of a first on it, in that I was the first guest to talk at such length he had to turn it into a two-parter.
Oh, surprise.
And he has also had to do that for my dad. Although my dad talks a lot less than me, but he uses less words, but with more power.
More emphasis.
Yeah. His words carry much more power than mine. Power words.
Jalapeño. Jalapeño.
Getting back to just Ides of March and their vehicle song. The song, it says here on Wikipedia, is about a girl that often uses the singer for her mode of transportation,
right,
leading the singer to surmise that he is little more than her vehicle. And it was a big hit in America, got number 2, got number 5 in Canada, but didn't reach the top 30 in Britain. And they never had another hit single, so one-hit wonders. Oh! Get a load of this. The main man in the group, the singer, Jim Peterick, went on to form the group Survivor and was the co-writer of the song Eye of the Tiger.
Fucking hell.
Get in there.
I love these little things where you just spot. We would have never known all of this had you not just looked at the title.
Like the sound of the title.
Yeah. And now this. Lovely stuff.
We've got Survivor. Now, I'm trying to find out more about Survivor because there's not Eye of the Tiger. There it is, Survivor. Who was the singer in Survivor?
I remember what he looked like.
Because he wore a beret, didn't he?
Wore a beret, and I think he wore a big leather bomber jacket, not unlike Rocky's.
Lead vocals, a man called Dave Bickler. Oh, great name. Dave Bickler was the singer on Eye of the Tiger. Apparently no longer with Survivor. Still with us though, age 69. He's best known as the original member of Survivor. So yeah, that comes from Vehicle, from the Ides of March, who are still going, and they celebrated their 57th anniversary and did a special gig in September 2021 at the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino in Milwaukee.
Potawatomi.
So, still at the top of their game. Whether they'd be prepared to come across and do your book launch, I'm not sure. I don't know if you're as big a draw as the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino.
I'm just not keen on paying. Just not keen on paying like that. Yeah. I will pay for the right artist, but the transatlantic travel expense is too much. When we look, I got my fingers burnt when we launched the CD-ROM magazine Enter, because at the launch party, not content with hiring out a whole club in London's fashionable Shoreditch, I then also paid for a Swedish funk band to come all the way over from Sweden to perform only about 5 songs. And on top of that, some break dancers from the West Midlands. So I had their train fare to cover as well. I mean, fair enough, it wasn't my money, it was the company's money. But it probably did contribute somewhat to the speedy decline of that great organ.
That does give the impression you're playing a bit fast and loose with the budget. I was playing
fast and loose a bit, yeah. But, I was only a whippersnapper. I was barely out of nappies, mate. I mean, it's their fault for giving me the access to the money.
You've got this, yeah, well, exactly. The people with the purse strings should have kept a tighter hold on them, I think.
Quite right.
Instead of giving you that. So, was it a Swedish funk group that you were aware of, or?
What had happened was we'd been offered some press with them. Someone, not me, had interviewed them. And then when they'd been in London doing some press, and we'd interviewed them and obviously filmed them for the CD-ROM. And then then the woman who'd interviewed them said, they're really good actually, you should look at them. And I looked, yeah, they're fucking great. And she's gone, and I've only listened to about as much as I just listened to that Vehicle by the Ides of March, but it was a similar sort of reaction. I had a reaction that was similar. And I went, oh, they're great. And she went, you know what, actually, they'd be really good to come over. They'd be really good to play at the launch. And I go, yeah, book them. And then and then her management said, oh, well, they're back in Sweden now. So if they came over, you'd have to pay for that because they'd only be coming over to do that. Fine, fucking pay them. Come over then. We'll only have time for them to do 5 songs. How many of them is there? 6.
Oh man, I mean, London would have been swimming with active Swedish funk bands at that time.
I know.
That wouldn't have had to come across on the plane or anything.
I was carried
Surely.
away, mate. I was just carried away.
It's a life lesson, isn't it?
So, exactly. There are no mistakes.
And they still remember it.
There are no mistakes, only lessons.
That's right, absolutely. So that's Vehicle, that's Ides of March. There's another great song that I just heard a little bit of in this chart, and it is by The Move, who was the first group of Roy Wood, who was in
Good name,
ELO
The
for a bit.
Move, innit? Sounds a bit moddy.
Well, he then formed Wizard. I Wish It Could Be Christmas.
Roy
day.
Wood turns up in every rock and roll memoir. He's one of those guys.
Good.
Like,
Good.
he will. I think he's in that Beatles book that I've been reading by Craig Brown. He features heavily in the Elton John book. He's just like, like Forrest Gump, although that's a bit rude 'cause it suggests that he's a bit touched in the nut. Or like, there's a Woody Allen film, isn't there? Is it Zelig? Where he just is like that guy who's there at every sort of moment in history. Yeah. That's Roy Wood. If you read any music memoir from like the 60s or 70s, Roy Wood was there.
But Brontosaurus by The Move, it's like a heavy kind of thing, but it's got really good melody. And again, it's one of them, I think if you listen to it later on, you'll go, yeah, I like that, I'm into that. And I think Roy Wood, as you said, has mentioned so much, he's like kind of a almost unheralded genius of 70s pop music.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Mike Batt episode of Rock on Tours? We talked about it.
Yeah, very good.
He's a bit like that, isn't he? Like, he's had a hand in almost everything.
Yeah.
Seemed like a nice chap as well, actually.
He does. Seems to be good fun.
Yeah.
To be around.
Yeah. But like produced or played on fucking anyone worth anything in that era. I bet Mike Batt and old Roy Wood are probably pals, mate. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they see each other over Christmas.
Gotta be.
They used to get the families together, but now they're older, they just go for a pint somewhere. Maybe a pint on a heath somewhere.
That sounds great. I'd love to do that.
A pint on a heath, yeah.
A pint on a heath. That sounds like a great podcast title.
Pint on a heath.
A pint on a heath.
Is it as good a podcast title as what I'm taking part in tomorrow? Coffee and a catch-up.
Well, it's similar, isn't it? I mean, you're sober, so a pint on a heath would have to be either a pint of milk or a pint of zero alcohol.
I know a bloke who used to always order milk in the pub. You ever seen that?
Really?
Yeah, just bold as brass. He was Indian, so maybe in India it was a thing. I don't know, but he'd walk in.
Wow.
He was a mate. He'd walk in and he'd go, "Glass of milk, please."
Did he always get it?
They'd look at him funny, but he had such a confident way about him
Yeah.
that they'd just sort of like, "Oh, all right."
Fucking hell. Hey, nice one. Because I've been thinking about this lately, because, like, I went out with some mates a while ago, and everyone drove. We went to a gig, but everyone drove, and they were all drinking the zero alcohol. Didn't even bother having just a single pint.
No.
Proper
No,
booze. They
then it
went,
just gives you a taste. You might as well just...
Yeah.
All or nothing,
I had
yeah.
1 pint of regular booze. I didn't have the zero alcohol. I had a pint, and then I drove. I drove a car 2.5 hours after I'd had a pint of alcohol, and I don't know if that's illegal anymore.
No, I think that's perfectly legal.
I think
Depending
that's all
on the
right.
alcohol, of course.
It was a low strength. It was like a 4%, like a session kind of ale. So, you know, I chose it with caution. But I thought to myself, yeah, I like the idea of zero alcohol, but if I was given a choice of that, or maybe a pint of milk or a cup of tea,
Yeah.
I probably want a cup of tea. And is it?
Yeah.
What do you do? Can you get a cup of tea in a pub after 7 p.m?
Some pubs, a lot of pubs, you can get a coffee in, no problem.
I know lots of them do coffees and that, but you kind of think, I mean, Weatherspoons, you can get a coffee, and then I think you can just get refills all day for free.
Yeah,
once
stay
you
in
bought
there the whole
first
fucking
one.
day, mate. No problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's fucking Weatherspoons, isn't it? And you're funding the endeavours of that.
Oh, yeah,
fucking
geezer.
part lie and part fascist that runs it.
The fascist lion.
Yeah.
Talking of lions, mate. Oh,
Okay.
I've loved watching the... Who is it? Is it the Senegalese fans or maybe another country as well? They dress as like... No, it was the Morocco fans. They
Morocco were
are
doing
great.
it.
Loads of
see
them are
the
dressed as
Morocco
lions, and loads of them, of course, wear fezzes, which is you and I are big
Yeah.
fans of the fez.
We are.
So I think they're my favourite fans of the tournament so far.
Yeah, there was a shot of a Morocco fan who was dressed as a lion, and next to him was another one who was holding a monkey puppet that looked extremely like the dancing monkey that I've got. Also, the Macarena monkey
That my dad owned.
that your dad.
Another thing my dad
Probably
doesn't
still
mention
owns.
on his podcast, which again,
Yeah.
if it was you or I or anyone, you would have. Most people would have said, "I'm in the '90s. I acquired a monkey that danced the Macarena, and I would
Yeah.
impress. I would impress visitors, including ladies, to my house with it. I used it to seduce women."
Yeah. And did you see the Moroccan fans celebrating all over London as well?
No, I didn't see
Beating
that.
Spain. Oh, absolute chaos. It looked brilliant.
Lovely. I mean, the World Cup. I enjoyed that. But the thing is, it's strange. I feel the older I get, the more sad I feel for the losing team. So I was delighted that Morocco won. I think Morocco have been good. Samuel Eto'o predicted that they'd go all the way to the final. So right from the start, I've had an eye on them. Right. But
Right.
he predicted that Cameroon would beat them in the final. So he got that wrong.
Seems a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But he said they'd go to the final, and in all honesty, right, they've got Portugal next, and then then they'd have England or France in the semi.
In the semi-final.
Could they beat Portugal? Yeah. Could they beat England? Yeah. Why not? They just beat fucking Spain.
Yeah. But, I mean, Spain's penalties were wretched.
They were, but that can
They
happen
were
to any team.
Absolutely wretched.
That can happen to anyone, though, can't it? I mean, Japan
I guess
Japan
so.
did penalties against Croatia, and they were shit as well.
They were wretched as well. Yeah.
Wretched
It's been weird.
Japanese penalties. Another good name for a band. We are the wretched Japanese penalties.
Oh,
Penalty
sell
kicks.
that one.
Yeah, so you just never know. But it's wonderful when you see a team like Morocco, who've competed for many years. They've been in World Cups, haven't they? I mean, I remember them getting that 0-0 draw against England in '86 when poor old Ray R.I.P. Wilkins got sent off for chucking the ball at the ref.
That's right, he
They've
did.
been around.
Yeah.
There's always been decent Moroccan players, hasn't there? And I was just really happy for them, but mainly because they dress as lions. I think it's a great thing. It's one of the best
And for the
things you can
monkey
dress as. And it reminded me and Len of that, one of our favourite emails to have been sent to the to Top Flight Time Machine, which was one I told Len about and he treasured, which was we I don't know if you remember this, Andy, but we got heavily into nostalgia about ink poisoning for a while on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were
might
talking a
come back
lot
to it.
about how ink poisoning was one of our biggest concerns as children, right?
Yeah.
And not just ink poisoning, the standard ink poisoning that comes allegedly, according to playground law, from just drawing on yourself, but also the ink poisoning that you get if you ever accidentally ingest ink.
Yeah.
We got a wonderful email from a chap who said, when I was about 10, me and my brother were playing lions round the house.
Whoa, what a start with an email.
Which was a great... It was one
get
of the...
better than that.
Yeah, in email terms, it was the email equivalent of Vehicle by Ides of March.
Yes,
It just had
straight in there.
I was immediately engaged and intoxicated
Yeah.
by it. And actually, what it was about was they were playing lions around the house and they ate, as part of this game, they ate their dad's newspaper. And then I
That's
think
what lions do.
they either got, I mean, it's exactly what a lion would do. So they're obviously
Yeah.
taking the game pretty seriously. They were obviously method acting as lions. But they either got ink poisoning or spun into a panic about getting ink poisoning and dying. But the key bit is playing lions around the house, which cracked Len up. And we still sort of say to each other, like, do you fancy playing lions around the house later? And then when we see the Moroccan fans dressed as lions, Len goes, "Were they dressed as lions?" So I said, "Perhaps they've been playing lions around the house." And then they didn't have time to get changed and come straight to the football.
I think we need to do a deep dive into lions, the history of lions.
Yeah, we
History
should.
box.
Who invented the lion, etc.
Yeah. And might be a crossover with the rabies episode we're planning.
I don't think lions were responsible for rabies. That was French dogs, wasn't it?
Well, it can be more than one creature. I don't know.
Unclean French dogs.
I don't know.
I mean, we'll get more into detail when we look deeper into it. But the vibe was in the early 80s was that the French don't look after their dogs properly, and therefore they are foul and riddled with a disease that will make you foam at the mouth. So if you see a French dog, don't go anywhere near it.
And they'll all come through the Channel Tunnel. That was the big worry, wasn't it?
Fucking herds of them.
2023 is going to be rabies year.
Year of the rabies.
We'll leave it there because I think there's more to be had from this chart. Because what we've done this time is actually listen to some of the songs, and it's been useful. So we'll do that with a bit more of it for next time.
Definitely.
And we'll get another episode out of it. So thank you very much for listening, and of course, goodbye.
Goodbye.